Good morning. Hi. I love the way we start the school year on Monday with the flag ceremony. And I thought Mr. Rem's message about sharing our stories was so on point and such a great way to get things going. But I also think a lot about this opening chapel. And I know we've been in school now for 2.5 days officially. But for me, this is, in many ways, this marks the beginning of the school year. And I was thinking about what I was going to say to you all. And the other night, my wife, Mrs. Ainslie, after months of cajoling me, she finally got me to sit down and watch Top Gun Maverick. And it was an awesome movie. Loved it. And the funny part was, but throughout the movie, I kept asking her questions about, did this happen in the first one? And I kept going back to that. And she finally got a little bit exasperated and said, how do you not remember this? And I said, well, because I've never seen the original Top Gun. And she looked at me with that look of, what rock were you living under that you didn't see Top Gun, which is the biggest summer blockbuster? And I, of course, Googled it, and I came out in 1986. And I said, well, I know why I didn't see it. I just finished my sophomore year in college, and I thought, way too cool to watch Tom Cruise in Top Gun. So I missed it. And I thought about all the things I have missed out on because I was either thought I was too cool for, but really too insecure to really give myself into going and watching that movie. And I have so many regrets of things I didn't do. And one of the reasons that the movies are so successful, and you probably learned about this idea in English class, and you certainly would learn about it in a film study class, but it's this idea called a willing suspension of disbelief. And that is when you go and sit down in that dark theater, you willingly suspend your disbelief, your skepticism, and you allow yourself to get emotionally invested in a story. And truth be told, that 1986, I probably would have gone and been very cynical and been like, oh, this is obvious, and not enjoyed it. But I've really developed that ability as I've gotten older to really be able to buy into stories. And I love going to the movies. And now you get good directors and good authors get you emotionally invested in stories. And that's why when I take my kids to see Toy Story, even though they're cartoons, I will cry. And even though, because I Googled this too, I know that we're not that close to breaking Mach 10, but my heart is racing as Tom Cruise is trying to break Mach 10 in Top Gun. And it got me to thinking a little bit about life at VES and this idea of your suspension of disbelief. And there's a couple aspects of it. One is the obvious one. Now, you're going to hear this from me, you hear this from your parents, you hear this other adults, and you hear it from the seniors when they graduate. Like, give in, let yourself not be cynical and skeptical about what's going on at VES. You're only here for a short time. Take advantage of what is here. If you've ever dreamt of being on stage, go out for the musical. Don't worry about the fact that your roommates and your friends aren't trying out. Go try new things, have different experiences. You certainly will not regret it, and it makes you a richer person. But I think you all have heard that, and you know that. The other idea of this sort of suspension of disbelief to me is that we do ask you to suspend sort of your beliefs, your disbeliefs about what happens out there and what we expect from you as a member of this community. And we do hold you all to a higher set of standards and expectations that are merely aspirational, I think, for the rest of the world. And some of these are obvious, right? Some behaviors that are not abnormal teenage behaviors are major school rule violations here. We ask you to buy into those rules. Otherwise, bad consequences happen, as you are aware of. Another aspect of this is, the honor code. And outside in the real world, sometimes that is merely aspirational for people, but that is a basic expectation of how we live in this community together. When Charlie looks me in the eyes and tells me something, I want to believe him. And the trust that we build as a community is based upon that honor system, that honor code, and I think it's so important. And I loved it the other day when Mr. Barrios was up here talking about the goals that the student leaders had come up with for the year. And I won't go through all of them right now, but I love that they had 4 basic goals, and some of them are just standard rules of expectation that not only make you better people, but make this community better. That idea of leaving things better than you found them. Like, get up from the table, push your chair in so someone else doesn't have to do that for you. Treat other people with dignity and respect. We talk about that a lot. But if we are going to be a great community, which I know we can be and will be, it means that we are bringing each other up, that we are supporting each other. The other aspect I liked about that is that, they had 4 basic goals, and that's something that, does carry over from the real world into VES. The other day in chapel, I did talk about, this year, one of the great things about schools is every year is a new year. You start the year with a blank slate. Everybody in this room has the exact same GPA right now. Everybody has a 0.0. And where that goes is up to you. We don't have any conference champions. We don't have any state championships. That will be in your hands this year. And so think about your goals, your hopes, your aspirations. And I do think the idea of committing those to paper, basic ideas. And I can tell you, like, at the leadership team here, we retreated this summer. We came up with 4 basic goals for the year. We want to work on a strategic plan. We want to remain accredited. We want to work on a campus facilities plan to make sure we take care of this place. And we want to work on a compensation plan for our employees. Basic, simple. I've committed to them. I've now given them to the Board of Trustees. They're going to hold me accountable to those goals, and that is very motivating. But that is, think about what you want to hope, dream, you want to achieve this year. And also, just because you are seniors, don't think that you've been there and done that. I can guarantee you, when you talk to faculty and you talk about professional development, even our most senior, most master teachers are constantly working on ways to make themselves better faculty, better teachers. One of the things, I keep working on myself as well. One of the things that I regret over the last 2 years is not having more student contact and more student involvement. So I went to Mr. Hanning this summer and I said, can I have some advisees? And he said, are you sure? And I said, yes. And so thanks to Mr. Casper, who's going to be my able partner in this, we've got 4 guinea pigs. And so young men, I hope, look at George and George Sanders, J.K., and Ruben. It's going to be an adventure, and it's going to be fun, and I know it's going to be a great experience for me. But my message to you is let's have a fantastic year this year. Let's continue to keep this chapel full. Let's have an incredible picture of this class that you're going to come back many years from now and look at the wall on Jet and remember the memories you made this year. But leave your cynicism and your skepticism. Check that at the door as much as you can and buy into what we're asking of you to be a successful member of this community. It's not only going to help you be better people individually, it does make us a better community. So I'm really excited about this year. Thank you all for being here, and let's have a great year. Thanks.